president was the person who empowered me more than anybody else. He's the one that defended me. The president was the first to affirm me. He was the one that gave me a voice on a national stage.
She clearly must be confusing a previous job with her former job. I mean, she can't be talking about the same bosses. I mean, Donald J. Trump, I mean, this dude has fought with everybody, literally everybody. He could be literally in an interview with Fox News and they're asking him a simple softball question. Hey, during your town hall, you were talking about your healthcare plan and when you were going to release it. Can you give us a little bit more on that? And the dude would just go on a rampage about the Democrats.
When I started, we had the 17, I told you. And then we had 60, then we had, I was never going one-on-one. I didn't have Hillary where you have, communist Bernie Sanders doing it. Here's the thing, it's crooked Hillary Clinton against the communists.
The president has been insinuating that Scarborough was responsible for the 2001 death of his congressional staffer, Lori Klasutis. It is just baseless.
If you take the blue states out, we're at a level that I don't think anybody in the world would be at.
Thunberg became the youngest person ever named Times Person of the Year. President Trump, one of the 5 finalists for the annual honor, weighed in, tweeting, "So ridiculous. Greta must work on her anger management problem. Then go to a good old-fashioned movie with a friend. Chill, Greta, chill."
Why doesn't he show his birth certificate?
3 weeks ago when I started, I thought he was probably born in this country. And now I really have a much bigger doubt than I did before. He doesn't have a birth certificate or he hasn't shown it.
Nancy Pelosi this and Chuck Schumer that. I mean, the guy has no morals in regards of what he would say about them and just continue it. And to be honest, if you're a Republican, that doesn't make you safe, because if you're out there giving a message that does not even align with him, then he will put you in that same bucket and he will talk about you and he will go on a rampage and a wrath in regards of what you are and, the distaste that he has for you. I mean, because if you're not someone that fits in his box as someone who will vote for him or has voted for him or he considers loyal, then he has no ties with you. And he has no affiliation with you. And to be honest, as a president who's supposed to be the president for every American, he tends to only feels that he should be over those particulars. I mean, the message is not hard in regards of what country you are running for, all 50 states, and then some. And yet he tends to think, no, if you don't like me or if you did not vote for me, then I'm not your president. I mean, so I don't get who she's referring to. I mean, it doesn't even just stop with the Democrats and, the people who didn't vote for him. I mean, it goes on to, he even said things about military people. I mean, people who will literally put their life on the lines for every American that they will never even meet. I mean, people who have fallen, who have died, Gold Star families and Blue Star families. I mean, he has literally had disparaging messages and words to say about a 16-year-old girl. Like, he literally got mad because Time Magazine was doing their issue of the most influential people of the year, and yet because they were putting Greta Thunberg on the cover, he went off the rails and had all this craziness in regards of a 16-year-old girl. And between the two of them, the person who handled it as an adult was her.
Her Twitter bio to read, "A teenager working on her anger management problem, currently chilling and watching a good old-fashioned movie with a friend."
I mean, this guy has done more to divide the country than to unite. And instead of saying that, condemning white nationalists during Charlottesville, when you had one side that is trying to stand up for everybody's rights and all equal rights, and another side that was about white supremacy, he goes on the record and stands in front of everybody and says there are good people on both sides. I mean, this is the guy who is on Access Hollywood talking about grabbing a woman by, because of the fact that in his position or in his stature, that you can get away with this. I mean, this is the same guy who cheated on his first wife with his second wife. I mean, and cheated on his third wife with the porn star and cheated on the porn star with a playmate. I mean, and then, he would hate and disparage people who were running against him. I mean, and talked about people who aren't American, or, you know, previous presidents that weren't born here, when clearly they had to be born here, because that's one vetting process for you to even run to become president. I mean, it's just the endless things in regards to the stuff that this guy has said. I mean, he paid for an ad in the paper for the teenage boys in the 80s in regards to the Central Park 5, stating that they needed the death penalty for a crime that they didn't even commit. At the time that he even did so, they weren't even charged. So it just goes on and on in regards to who he has said some most heinous and negative things about. And the truth on the matter is, a lot of the stuff he says does not stick to anybody. And so by all means, he does say the most craziest and most offensive things, but that doesn't mean that he's offending that particular person. I mean, a lot of times the people he is saying stuff about have that much of a backbone to begin with, and so he might even feel infuriated to them to begin with. And so the reason he's even saying something to begin with is because of the fact of who they are, or because they have such a strong leg to stand on. And so normally it's not the idea that he's saying something about someone who is weak-minded or whatever, because those people didn't probably come forth. So to be honest, it should be a badge of honor if he's actually saying something about it, because most likely he may be offended, or he may be jealous or something. But clearly, this isn't someone who has some kind of sympathy or empathetic. I mean, I don't know what Kool-Aid she's drinking, but she cannot be talking about this particular guy. Although, in reference, I mean, that do make sense, because he does like Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un. I mean, he even talks about Kim Jong-un and the fact that they have love letters.
Like me, and I like him, and I understand the past, and, you know, nobody has to tell me he's a rough guy. He has to be a rough guy, or he has been a rough person, but we got along very well. His country does love him, his people, you see the fervor, they have a great fervor.
So I guess if you're a dictator, then this does apply. Yeah, okay, now I see it.